Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Bricky. Our special guest is Kirioth. So we're going to learn about some 40k stuff, probably vehicles or knights or something like that. But before we do, if you enjoyed today's episode, head on over to the Patreon and consider supporting us. Patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. The $15 tier gets you all of our HD posters, and if we hit 20,000 on the Patreon, I will do a fantasy episode for Bricky, just one. And yeah, patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. Bricky, what's the book and what's the merch?
Don't forget, if we reach 20k on Patreon, I also have to send everyone feet pics.
Oh God.
That I promised that on a stream, and I refuse to not be a man of my word. Duty and honor, as they say.
But that's legally binding. I don't think it's necessary.
It could be legally binding. I'll write up a contract.
Oh God, I don't.
As for merch, we got Orchidate.com is the merch site. It's got merch, all kinds of merch. We got sweatpants, tons of posters. We have objective mats. That might be a good pickup for 10th edition coming up. And dice if you want to load up on that. So check it out in the description. And our book for our book club is Assassinorum Kingmaker. It's great.
Great.
I love it. I am enthralled by it. It is actually... I genuinely really like it.
Yeah, Bricky has been nonstop gushing about Assassinorum Kingmaker before and after every recording. God, I love this book. Oh my God, this book is great. Holy, this book is great.
I love this book. Kirioth has heard it as well. I am probably going to buy it night after this because it's so good. But anyway, check that all out. Here, then. Yes, good point. Though we're not
going to say fund the sequel. I thought that was what it was going to be. Personally, fund a sequel.
You know what? There's the thing. I want to see GW sales numbers, and I want to see like book club release from Adeptus Ridiculous at this time frame. Night sales increase by 30%, or assassin pickups increase by 30%. It's it's a whole thing. Anyway, speaking of large vehicles. Hey, Kirioth, how's it going?
That's my favorite intro / segue that anyone's ever done. I classify myself as a large vehicle, so it's perfect. Hello, as is standard for me showing up, we're gonna have a look at a collection, a variety of different vehicles today. If you're expecting things like, I don't know, some sort of cohesion from one thing to the next, then you're out of luck.
You've come to the wrong place.
Oh yeah, you've come to the wrong place. If you're expecting things that are, I don't know, sane, for instance, or that don't, in one case, almost break the laws of physics, then again, you're in the wrong place. Today we're going to have a little cheeky look at the Adeptus Mechanicus vehicles and a few choice offerings from the Mechanicum side of things. So the current Adeptus Mechanicus stuff, which is 40k, and the Mechanicum, which is Horus Heresy stuff.
Ooh, okay. I was going to say, who comes here expecting sanity? Who's listening to Adeptus Ridiculous? Like, oh wow, they're not sane today. What a shock! Like,
what a shock! Oh, look at that! The apes on the media are banging their chests together and going Warhammer, Warhammer, Warhammer. Like, wow, it's just the usual day.
Why are the dancing monkeys just dancing?
Why are the dancing monkeys taking Skitarii and putting them in large crawlers as batteries? Which we'll get to. I mean, sorry to jump ahead.
It's the best way to do it. It's the only way that works. They've tried everything else, and sometimes you've just got to stick a lad into an ancient machine and use him until he shrivels up and becomes just a dry, desiccated corpse. It's just the only way to go.
I will say, I always forget how much damage the Mad Mech do with like pure radiation.
Oh yeah, they love it. They absolutely love just irradiating any battlefield they get anywhere near. It's just like, well, we could you know, you could just shoot things and they die, but it would be even better if nothing could walk here for the next 2,000 years. That's ideally what we're looking for. So yeah, they love a bit of they love a bit of irradiated ammunition. We're going to start off with the Dune Crawler. Now, there's a little bit of debate here because I've been told I pronounced it wrong twice. The first word is Onager. I've always said onager, but then I got told it was onager, so I started saying onager instead, and I immediately got shouted at and told that that was incorrect. It was onager. So you can pick whichever you like. Dune Crawler is probably the one to stick with, and we're starting with this one because it's a classic from our old friend Arkan Land.
Yes. You know, I was literally just about to ask, is it called a dune crawler because it crawls on dunes? Or is it that stupid GW naming scheme where there's a guy named Dune who made a crawler?
Well, this
is actually done. Wait, I think they spoke about this in Master of Mankind. I think he found the schematics for this thing, didn't he?
Yes, this is one of his. It's like he's kind of connected. I can't work out whether he actually has his name in it the same way that the Land Raider is the Land Raider for silly reasons, but it's based on Arkan Dune.
Yeah, his little brother Arkan Dune.
It's based on something called the Mars Universal Land Engine, which, if it wasn't for the involvement of Arkan Land, you would assume that Universal Land Engine meant that that's because it walks on the land. But much like the Land Raider, it was actually created by Arkan Land as a transport. So, I mean, you can go either way. Either it's called the Land Engine because he made it, because 40k is silly, or it's because it walks. It's entirely up to you. I suspect I know which one it is, to be honest.
I gotta be honest, with the way this thing looks, it almost looks like orcish. Like the way the mini looks, it almost looks like one of them orc, what do I want to say, like a kind of like a Killacan, but not as
Death
kooky.
Dread.
Yeah, or something like that. It looks orcish with how busy it is, and like the sort of eye slit, and just
I think it's
massive
the eye
amount
slit.
of guns and legs and stuff.
The eye slit is very Killacan-like. I think that's the thing that I'm also kind of registering is the eye slit.
Yeah.
Also, it is really orcish to not have like just to have like funny motorized legs. Oh, yeah. Rockin' Stone!
Rockin' Stone! Wow, it actually does
Rockin'
like...
Stone!
Oh, right. If you didn't know, Ricky is a voice changer now.
Anyway, continue.
Prayers in chat and comments for Shy editing.
Emperor protect us.
Emperor protect. Only Shy. She's the only one who needs it. So, the Dune Crawler basically starts out as a transport. Arkan Land built it, and because, of course, it's impossible to have anything nice, it ended up being absolutely plastered in weapons. The weird thing is that it's like, it starts out as a transport, but it doesn't have any transport capability in terms of 40k. Instead, it's just covered in guns. So there's a bunch of different things. Eradication beamers you can have, phosphor blasters, neutron lasers, anti-air missile launchers. Also, my favourite thing, just because of the sheer concept of it, a Gatling rocket launcher. That is an option on one of these.
Ooh.
Which just sounds hardcore.
Oh boy, how would you load that thing up? A Gatling rocket launcher?
It's
very
like
carefully.
What, do you just have like a belt of rockets? And you just feed it in and like what the? Yeah, it's very carefully load that.
Don't drop it. Do not drop the belt of rockets.
I won't lie. As far as questions are concerned, we're gonna have a hell of a lot more than those.
Oh yeah, it gets like it gets worse. So the eradication beamer, it's very simply named because it just vaporizes or atomizes things that are nearby, and if it's just at the right distance, then it breaks whatever it hits down, like at the molecular level. So really, no matter whether you're close or sort of middle distance, it's just going to make you not be there anymore. Which, again, I like. It's one of those things where the Mechanicus are very full on with their insane weapons. It's all like old archaeotech and stuff that's salvaged from the dark age of technology, and it's all pretty horrific, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, yeah. Also, can that thing atomize anything? Like, it doesn't matter if it's ceramite, it doesn't matter if it's chaos, it just, no matter what, just...
Just a general purpose atomizer. Pretty much.
Everything is made up of atoms, and that includes...
chaos,
that includes everything. Though I'm pretty sure, it's kind of funny, because I think Necron weapons also atomize at the molecular level, I think.
Yeah,
that
there's
makes sense.
There's a bit of a crossover there. Yeah. So what the hell is this?
Oh,
so a Gatling rocket launcher experimental weapon did exist in 1950s America.
Oh god, the 1950s were a wild time for like experimental weapons, weren't they?
I mean, to be honest, that just looks like something that you could put one of those on a dune crawler, and it would look like it was always meant to be there.
Yeah. That does look like it actually belongs on the Dune Crawler.
It really does. That's awesome. I love that exists. Well, not for whoever undoubtedly got horribly killed by it when it went wrong, but, just as a concept. So
I was going to say field tests for that thing were probably a disaster.
I'm going to stand all the way over there. You deal with this. I don't want anything to do with it, thanks. So the Dune Crawler has got a crew of 2. It's only 2 of them. One of them was a previous Skitarii Ranger that is, like, they're basically just kind of meshed into it. It's kind of this, like, symbiotic thing where they are put into the tank, they become part of the tank. So the Ranger is the one that does the shooting, and the driver is a Skitarii Vanguard, which means that he can last a bit longer in there because they're slightly more resilient. But they do just die over time.
I'm pretty sure the thing just like... the leaks radiation basically, and it's just like if you're the driver, you just kind of die, right?
Oh,
yeah. They get installed into it. They can never leave, and eventually they just die. And as soon as they die, they're replaced with another 2, because the tank kills them as they operate it.
So it's kind of like a reverse dreadnought, where like a dreadnought keeps a dead person alive for a really long time, and this one is just like, yeah, no, you get installed and you're pretty much gonna get irradiated to death, and we're just gonna swap you out over and over again.
It's a battery pack.
Oh, it actually is a reverse dreadnought. It literally is. It instead of preserving the life of someone who's close to death, it just takes 2 healthy people and murders them.
Yeah. If you were enough AdMech where you were just like completely no more human flesh, you are just metal, you are just robotics, would you be able to last longer in here? Because I mean, radiation doesn't really affect like a fully machine man, right?
Maybe a bit longer, but the thing with the AdMech stuff is they've all got to have organic brains, haven't they? There's no like true AI. You can't have like computational stuff.
Because
so
that's
for
heresy.
servitors and you wouldn't want to go around doing that. So for things like servitors and vanguards and rangers and stuff, they still end up having to have like that little bit of like mortal stuff. Plus like electronics can be wrecked by radiation as well. So either way you get put in one of those, whether it's for a short time or a long time, it's definitely like that time's going to come to an end, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, Shai said robots that were sent into the Chernobyl reactor died in 5 minutes.
Yes. So we started with that because it's got Archenland's name on it for better or worse. But we're going to stick with the theme of legs for the moment because there is another legged vehicle, technically 2, that the Mechanicus have access to, which is the Iron Strider. And the Iron Strider is one of my favourite things because it has something called an Iron Strider engine. And the Iron Strider engine it's like the peak example of why the Mechanicus is just... It's one of like those kind of rare, in a way, perfect factions in terms of its background. So the Iron Strider engine is something that was created by a tech priest called Aldebrak Ving in early M33. So
Archenland?
Honestly,
Arc and Iron.
The way you started that, you were like, it was created by and I was like, if you say Iron Strider, I'm going to scream.
It was created by Mr. Iron Strider.
Yeah, you're like, it was created by Admech Iron. I would have screamed.
I wouldn't do that to you a second time. I already got you once with the Lasgun one when we were doing the Land Raider episode.
Yeah.
Yes, Arc and Laz.
Yeah.
His name was Laz Gun. First name Laz, last name Gun. That's why we call it that.
Oh, I'm still so happy that I had you going for a second for that one. So, this Iron Strider engine it's basically an impossibility because it is almost a perpetual motion engine. So, like, once it starts going, it never stops going and it never runs out of power, which it does not work with, like, the laws of thermodynamics and stuff. So once it starts walking, it just continues to power itself infinitely. Except it's 40k. So once the dude died, no one knew how to make any more. Because of course.
Is this the one where they never turn it off because they're afraid it's going to break and they don't know how to make any more of them or fix them?
Yes. They won't turn them off. Because if they do, it might not turn back on again and they can't make another one. So they just have to walk endlessly. Oh, yeah.
So they just keep them in like a hamster wheel when they're not using them.
Well, that's the thing. One of the things that I love about these is the fact that they search for targets. They will just walk for years because they can't stop. If they stop, they might stop working. So once they start moving, they just walk and walk and walk and walk. I have to admit, it's not 100% clear on whether they can't turn them off or whether they can run for a bit without walking. Because otherwise, when they're being transported from planet to planet, I assume that they either run laps of the ship or they do have literal, like, hamster wheels. Like, there are Iron Strider wheels on the inside of the ship so that they can just keep going. Because the engine only seems to work when the thing is actually moving. So when they're dropped off in insanely hostile terrain, and they just go for years without stopping, without pausing. It's so peak 40k having a machine that you can't turn off.
If the AdMech were smart, they would hook up these hamster wheels to like a power generator and just let them go. Just leave them there running and just, like the way the power, you could power up the ship and everything. They just run forever. They're never going to stop, right? It's an infinite source of energy.
While that does sound like a good idea, I'm imagining most to all the things they do are like plasma reactors, and I'm not quite sure if like a kinetic force robot would even have the droppiest drop of power.
Oh, come on, it's 40k, and that's where you're drawing the line?
Yes.
Okay, Brick. Okay.
Also, I bet that like there's no STC for that, and they're not going to invent it because it's AdMech.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They don't already have the option to do it, so they're not going to be the ones to potentially mess things up by creating something new. They just leave them walk. I love the idea of one dude in the background of a ship going, you know what? If we built like this big wheel for them to walk in, and just getting a horrific look from all the other tech priests as like a herd of Iron Striders just run past them, go through the door, and then every half an hour they come back again, just endlessly circling, because if you stop them, they may never come back. Yep. And you don't want to be the guy who is like, I'm sure it'll be fine if we turn it off for a second, because it's an insanely valuable piece of technology that can't be replicated. And you just know that no one will have tried to make a new one. No one will have like gone, well, we can't make these, but surely we can figure out how it was done. It's not going to happen.
Hamster wheel STC lost to time. Yes, indeed, Shy. Yeah.
It walks for long enough, and for like kind of it's necessary to keep it going for long enough that it has a single task servitor that is part of it that just steers it. And that generally fails before the actual engine does, or before the vehicle itself does.
Wow.
Where's the guy? I don't see him in that photo.
He is like strapped to the front of it.
I know he's like on the mini.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so here's the mini. You can kind of see DK. He's the black bodysuit guy. He's looking through the blue lights like a telescope almost.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that before.
He's just a dude. He's just stuck in there.
What's he doing? What's the little guy doing in there?
He's driving.
He's just a little guy.
I genuinely thought that the gunner on top was doing everything. I thought it was just like a chicken walker suit where he's got the guns and he's got the and he's even got some little T-Rex arms for little grabby grabs.
Yeah, there's his face. See?
Oh yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Oh my god, I didn't know he was there.
Also, can we appreciate real quick the fact that the dual las cannons on that second picture have like old school targeting like dots on the top?
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that is. Like just like a little, like on the top of a pistol. What the hell?
It's I love AdMech weapons because it's the most insane, like they look like flintlock pistols and stuff that you'd see in Pirates of the Caribbean or something. They look like old tech, which technically a lot of it is old tech, but it's not like
it's like old future tech.
Yeah, it's old future tech. It's future tech that is technically old, but also is it's kind of like designed to look way older than it actually is anyway, which is just, I don't know. There's something about the whole aesthetic of them that it's just
really bizarre,
really cool. It's really weird, but it's really cool. Speaking of which, there is a Sidonian Dragoon variant of the Iron Strider, which is basically the same thing, but the guy's got a massive lance instead.
Oh,
the taser goad, I think is what it's called, or something close to that.
Yeah, they've got the taser lance or a radium Jezzail.
Yeah, did the AdMech for fun ever have like jousting matches with these things?
Fun does not serve the OMNISSIAH.
Oh, that's true.
I was going to say, what's
these aren't
what's
knights.
fun?
These aren't knights.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I will say,
So what is that, like a giant cattle prod, basically?
Pretty much. He just runs up and goes. Bzzz.
It's literally just a lance that you stab into people and it electrocutes them to death, which is awesome. The radium Jezzail, because it's radium, funnily enough, yet another thing that the AdMech have that kills its wielder over time. So,
oh no, not again!
If you've got the radium gun, then it'll murder you.
Of course it will. Of course it will.
The chances are that not only, in the case of like the Dragoons, not only is the servitor going to die before the actual vehicle is destroyed or breaks down due to age, but the guy on it is going to die well before the vehicle does, because he's firing a weapon that irradiates him every time he uses it. So
yeah,
it's not fun. It's not fun being AdMech.
The gun looks so cool.
Whoa. Oh, that gun is so rad.
Wait, I love the fact. So it's like AdMech are like a combo of mechanical enthused like Tibetan monks, right? But then their armory is like Western cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's like cyberpunk Wild West.
Mixed with like 1920s sci-fi. And I like how that gun has all this like bronze filigree and stuff on it.
Yeah.
But it's a rifle with a revolver chamber on the top. And
it looks amazing though. Who cares?
Look, it's got like the hammer pullback thing right there too, like an old musket.
Yeah,
it does have the hammer pull with the
This is so stupid. I love it.
Yeah.
They just have some of the best weapon designs. They just do. It's so ornate and so over the top, and at the same time, so likely to just kill you outright just by holding it, which you'd think is not great, but no, they love it. They love a bit of radiation, even if it kills their own guys.
Can I post the transuranic arc bus?
The what?
100%.
What?
It's so good.
I think I've seen that where it needs the stand because it's such a long gun.
It's got this like carrying handle on the top, but it's like long, taller than a Marine. It's insanity.
Also, what's the thing on the end of the muzzle? I guess what is that circular thing?
It's a loudener.
Because
the silencer is unacceptable. It's a loudener.
Is that actually like? Because this is 40K. I don't know if you're joking or not.
I am joking, but now I'm starting to I'm starting to gaslight myself into believing that it's true.
I think that sounds good. Let's stick with that.
Shy got me on the wavelength. We're sharing the brain cell. She got the Simpsons reference.
Police helicopters. Okay.
She got the Simpsons reference. I'm proud.
Oh man, I didn't get the Simpsons reference. I never get the reference.
I'm with you. I'm afraid.
So, man. Also, can I request a short break so I can use the bathroom so I don't have to?
Only if you let me play one sound effect.
I really have to pee, so fine, do it.
Queen.
All right, I'm done.
That wasn't so bad. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Me as the AdMech guy stuck inside the goddamn dune crawler. All right, what is on the next vehicle?
I'm afraid we're going to move out of cool territory now. Well, actually, no. This one might be. This could be debatable, right? This could be a bit of a. There could be something of a war going in the comments when it comes to the Scorpius Disintegrator and the Scorpius Dune Rider.
Wait, these aren't cool? Like, those names are dope.
Well, the legs on the Dune Crawler and the Iron Strider, it's quite a look, right? It's a strong look, and they did not go for that with their other main battle tank and transport. Instead, they went for the
brick. It's a literal
craft approach.
I'd argue it's a little bit more of like an amphibious assault vehicle. Like it looks like it could like it looks like water buoys, like where you ride up out of the water onto the land.
I'm sorry, this thing is atrocious. This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
I kind of like it.
Nah, it's a floating brick. You would like it because it looks like your name, a brick.
Yeah.
I like how there's no argument.
That's it. It's just a hover brick.
To be fair, DK, the transport one is arguably worse.
Oh,
because it's just something that I know you wouldn't actually see this hitting the beaches at Normandy because they didn't do hovercraft; they just did normal landing craft.
Well, right, but if you just made it a regular boat, that's essentially like a wartime transport that they, storm the beaches of Normandy with,
That's kind of why I like it.
On it too.
Yeah, me and Shy are in agreement. We both kind of like it for that reason.
I kind of like this one. I like this one better than just the straight up brick one because it actually does look like that sort of like beach wartime transport thing. But just the straight up like solid ass brick is awful.
See, I like the idea of it. And I like the fact they went with the idea, but it's the execution that I don't like. I think it's because it has like the air cushion underneath. Or at least it looks like it from the outside, right? If it had like the kind of grav plates that you get off the repulsor or something, if the bottom of it looked a bit more high tech, I think I would look at the top half of it and go, oh, that's cool. They're like mixing like super new shiny tech or like stuff that is decidedly futuristic with this kind of like older style of landing craft. That's a really cool mix, but it just looks like a hovercraft that we have now, and I'm not looking at hovercraft that we have now and going, I really need that in my grim dark future. Like I don't know. I will say that the disintegrator, the disintegrator is the one that's got the turret on top. It's basically a main battle tank. I kind of like the dumb nose on it. I kind of like the gun. With the big flat wedge of metal sticking out of the front, because it looks like someone's attempt to make like a car into a hot rod, but they didn't know what they were doing.
It does. It looks like it's gonna ram you. It looks like it's a front facing like whack.
Yeah. It looks like it can just pile straight into you, which I do quite like that, but it's divisive. I'll be honest. Okay. I've spoken to people who love this and people who absolutely hate it. And it's different from well, there you go. It's like, I hate it. It's just so different from what had come before. Mm-hmm. And I do like the fact that they've got loads of different stuff going on, because it's AdMech and it feels like they just grab stuff that, you know, they have access to, and it's all supposed to be a bit like esoteric and weird. But these I don't know, it's just something about the execution that I'm not a massive fan of, to be honest.
Shai says it sucks because it doesn't kill its own crew. This thing doesn't just leak radiation into the Bay Area?
It doesn't. No. It just works. It just works, which makes it boring to me. Like, if it's not killing someone.
That's not AdMech then. Like, this is like faux AdMech then.
I will point out, because otherwise people will get annoyed at this. These are anti-grav, right? They're not actually just like
they're not just floating on an inflatable bed.
They're not just floating on an inflatable bed. They just look like they are.
Yeah.
So, which is, I think, where I'm like, come on, lads. You could have put a bit more.
You could have made it look a little more future tech than that, right? Come on.
Put some cool engines on it or something. Just to really hammer
all right, I'm sensing some shenanigans up in here. How can you be like, this has got to be more future tech, but then a second ago you were like, God, I love the 1920s cyberpunk western shootout things.
Because it has the future look to it. Also.
Because
this is a hover tank.
Because it's a mix. Because when you look at that gun, it's also on top of a giant chicken strider that has a disposable man strapped to the front of it, and it can't be turned off. And it looks like it's just going to keep going. Whereas this just looks like an old hovercraft. And there's not like enough new on it.
Yeah, it looks like an old school Beachlander.
Like the AdMech have like that trash bag, the trash can that has the two slides. It's one's for recycle, one's for normal. Like, make sure you dispose of the servitor and the recycling thing. Save the environment. Fires radiation. Well, you know what? It's okay to be wrong. I like the Normandy craft. Granted, yeah. I would like a bit more in the AdMech motor pool. I think this is basically all you can use on the tabletop, and that's a little lacking.
Yeah, they don't have a vast amount of options currently, which is in a way a real shame, because like AdMech you could do so many weird things with, so many like really weird things. It does have a couple of options. The disintegrator. So there's the ferromite cannon, which is the one that is in the image there, which is it's basically just a big cannon. So it fires solid shells that, when they hit things, become molten and just flash, boil whatever they impale, which is kind of cool. And the other one they've got is called the Belarus Energy Cannon, which basically takes the same gas that they use in the hover drive, and it's packed into a projectile and then just fired out. And it's kind of like an energy blast. So basically, it can shoot things that it can't see mechanically. But I kind of like the idea that it's taking stuff that they use for propulsion and just shoving it in a gun and going, yeah, fire that out, and it works.
It's like a gasoline gun or a diesel gun.
Shai makes a diesel nuts. Shai makes a good point here, which
is doesn't even work.
She's from the Brutal Cunning book. Orcs stole these and hated them because you couldn't run people over with them.
Yeah, you can't even smash people in.
You're right. This is what they stole, isn't it? It was the little hover transport. I forgot completely.
Now you know.
Now I know. Oh, nice, cool. That's the only cool thing about them.
Kirioth, are you going to be talking about the planes soon?
Oh, well, the plane is coming up next.
I love the planes so much.
I'm genuinely interested to see what's made of this. So let's stop hating on the Scorpius for a moment and move on to the Archaeopter. So there's a few different versions of the Archaeopter, and I love this thing. I'm with Bricky. This is fantastic. It's essentially some sort of Da Vinci-esque helicopter with multiple options. It can be used as a transport. It can be like covered in bombs to drop on people, or it can be like equipped for like ground attack and stuff. And yeah, inspired by Dune is a very generous interpretation.
Yeah. The quotes are really doing a lot of heavy lifting there on inspired.
Yep. Yep.
It looks good though. It doesn't look bad at all. Like that's sort of I don't want to. I guess it is kind of an insect flyer, isn't it? But I like it. I like it. It's fine.
It's got a cool thing with the wings, where it's like the wings are like they're like not solid. They can flex and move.
They're flappy.
Yeah, they're more flappy, and it makes it way more maneuverable. And it's like the Taraxi that they've got, which are their kind of jump pack infantry, like flying infantry. It's basically the same tech, but just scaled way up. And they have one of their Taraxi that pilots it because they're already built for flying. So they pilot one of these aircraft. But they do also, I think it says that their legs are like hardwired into it.
Yo, the what is that? A Taraxi? You said those are so cool.
They've got like little like falcon feet. They fly up and go like nah.
And they got the wings and oh, that's sick. Also, I think what's throwing me off about this Archaeocop, whatever it's called, it like the main body of it looks like it should be a helicopter.
It's very small, isn't it?
Like, and it's got the wings, so it's like, no, it's kind of a plane, but it's got like the body of a helicopter, and it's just throwing me for a loop a little bit because it's so chunky.
It's supposed to be very maneuverable. I know that. It's supposed to be like extremely quick to spin around and adjust, and because of the wackiness
like a helicopter,
of its
right?
stuff. Yeah, like a helicopter because of the wackiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the Taraxi too.
They're so cool. I love them. Oh man, those wings and those falcon feet. That's great. I love it.
It is like, again, like really, it's pretty different from like the Dune Crawler or the Iron Strider and the Scorpius, but there's like little bits on it that are a little bit reminiscent of all of them, which is nice. And also the fact that it's got like three fully kind of extendable legs, which makes it even more weird. Like there's pictures of the different versions. So the Transvector is the one that kind of does like exploration and transport and stuff. The Fuselav is the one that drops bombs, and then you've got the Stratoraptor. For the Fuselav and Stratoraptor ones, you can see the back legs like extended out, like it's about to like sit down and land like an actual bird. It's super weird, but I don't know. There's just something about it where it's kind of a mix of a bunch of different stuff. Where it looks like it's got the body of a helicopter. It looks like the wings have been stolen from Dune. It's super quick, super maneuverable. I don't know. I really, really like these.
Yeah, I don't dislike them. I think they're pretty cool. It's a little weird that it's so chunky, but it's so maneuverable. So yeah, it's fine. I like it. I think it's cool enough. It's good.
Loadout wise, it's things like las cannons and phosphor blasters. And yeah, it's kind of, there's not actually that many different. I guess it's the same with quite a few of the factions where you've got like a gun and then various vehicles and infantry just have a bigger version of said gun. It's kind of the same with the AdMech as well. That's the concept of the Ornithopter. It is pretty much just that.
I was gonna say I haven't read the Dune books. I've seen the Dune movie, and even just from like the movie, it's like, yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
there's some definite. I mean, to be honest, they could probably be like a 4-hour episode just talking about what 40K is lifted from Dune.
Oh my god!
No, not lifted. What it inspired from Dune. Thank you.
Yes, I will say.
Why am I sticking up for GW here? What?
Because what I gotta say, even though like the flyers are such an obvious rip from the Ornithopter, AdMech I think probably have the most identifiably unique design I think in Warhammer, I don't think there's another Warhammer faction that is more its own thing than AdMech. So that's like the one big negative for me is the fact that the copters are so obviously the ornithopters and stuff. But even besides that, like everything pulls from something. Obviously, like I mentioned before, the cyberpunk kind of cowboy and all that kind of thing. But the AdMech are just so specifically Warhammer that it gets like a good feel.
Yeah, they're like a properly unique feeling faction. It just kind of, because there's so much like variation as well. Like even though they have a shared design across stuff, like the Rangers, like the Skitarii Rangers, don't really look like the Taraxi outside of the fact they've got some metal bits on them. Like head style is totally different. Just the overall setup, the weapon loadouts, all of that stuff is like they have a bunch of very different, very unique squads that all happen to come together to form one army. And if you didn't paint them in like the same colours, it's not like when you look at Space Marines, for instance, where a Space Marine just looks like a Space Marine. And Imperial Guard, everyone looks like an Imperial Guardsman. With the AdMech stuff, if you go out of just like the troops section, you're suddenly faced with just weird stuff that doesn't match in any way. But it's one of the things that makes it so interesting and cool is just the sheer amount of variety and how it's all totally different from everything else that 40k has.
Okay, Shy just burned Bricky. She said, "I love unique factions," says Bricky, while his favorite faction is generic man dude shooting guardsmen.
That is not true on two sides. The first one is my favorite faction is the Sisters. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
which Sisters, granted are just nuns and stuff, but the Sisters also have a pretty nice. Yeah, it's just like here, take nuns and instead make them like psychotic,
make them badass. Yeah.
Well, yeah, a little bit, but you know,
I'm also in no position to
I was about to say
to wax lyrical about how great AdMech are for being unique, when my guard army is the same tank 10 times and a Baneblade. Like, what am I even talking about?
The guardsmen are enjoyable because it's not about them being unique. It's about them being not unique and then being told to fight something that is so incredibly out of their element.
I said, just take the L and play the fart sound effect, Ricky.
Brother, there's nothing more fun than dudes from the 40s murdering goddamn the Tyranids. It's the best.
Oh, great.
I took the L. There you go. All right, continue.
Okay. Kira, what's the next? What are we talking about next?
Okay, so we're going to shift into Mechanicum stuff now, because as we said, the Mechanicus range has got some cool stuff, but it's not a massively expanded range. The Mechanicum side of things, which is from Horus Heresy specifically.
Okay. I was about to ask, that's the difference, right? Mechanicum is pre-heresy? Yeah. Okay.
It's not quite as mad, but it is also, like, stylistically as mad. So we have things like the Krios Battle Tank, or Cryos Battle Tank, and Cryos Venator, which, on the surface, it's like, okay, well, it's a treaded, tracked tank. That doesn't sound too mad.
No,
but you got to remember, this is still like AdMech. So of course it is a treaded, tracked tank that is just a platform for a gigantic gun.
It's this. Haven't we seen things like this before in the tank episode, where it's just a weird treads and just a big cannon in the middle or something? This feels familiar.
I think
God has left
Space
us.
Marine tanks. There are a couple that were just big guns in the middle of tracks. Also something that the Guard kind of like to do as well occasionally. But yeah, so it's no legs, no walkers, but still, I think it's fair to say, a bit mad, right? It's still a bit...
Yeah.
It's still a bit
That second one is overcompensating for something, for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
That is absolutely ridiculous. This is some Imperial Guard level bullcrap.
That's Adeptus ridiculous.
Mr. Electric, kill him.
So the pained laugh, it's getting more pained every time. Oh, well, you see, here's the thing. Okay, I'm not having this. Shy is making out like these are somehow structurally unsound by having a bunch of holes in them. Come on, it's AdMech. They might have a bunch of holes in them, but it has interlocking like energy fields. It has protective shields of energy around it, because that's the most sensible thing to do. Don't give it armor. Instead, use vast amounts of power to do what armor would otherwise do.
Yeah,
that's the AdMech way. That's
see,
how
now
we
they
like
can
it.
now they can make the stylistic choice to put holes in it because they've got energy barriers. Obviously, hello,
Exactly.
obvious
Exactly.
choice. It's a stylistic choice. It has nothing to do with protection. I just thought it looked cool.
They're so weird. So the Cryos battle tank has got a lightning cannon, which is kind of basically a las cannon. I mean, it's lightning cannon. It has a las beam that does like extra stuff to mechanical targets,
As well it should.
and it also increases effectiveness against organic enemies. So, you know, having your cake and eating it too. It kind of overloads mechanical stuff and makes it even worse for living, breathing creatures. And the other one, the Venator, it's got the Pulsar Fusel, which is a particle beam cannon.
Oh, lovely.
So it just fires volleys of like bolts which are designed to wreck armored targets. Which I'm assuming they don't like armored targets as much because they don't have any of their own armor, as demonstrated by the fact they've got holes all over their tank. But
yeah.
And the thing is, it starts out weird. Those are the equivalent to the Space Marine Predator, by the way. Those are like the Predator equivalent tanks for Horus Heresy Mechanicum. When
What's
you
the
get
Space Marine Predator?
it's the small
like
tank.
Classic
Oh, okay.
tank, like the
Yeah,
simple
the one that's based off like the Rhino transport, but it's just got a turret on top and
Oh, okay.
sponsons on the side. It does get progressively, I would suggest, more weird as you go on, which, I mean, you'd be disappointed if it was anything else.
Yeah.
There's also the Triaris Armoured Conveyor and the Karaknos Assault Tank. Got great names, borderline unpronounceable, so I'm assuming I've got most of these wrong already, but
Proper
it's only going to
GW
get worse
naming, yep.
from here.
Whoa!
Okay, that one actually looks kind of baller.
That is
It's-
actually super boss. I love that.
Badass.
Yo, that's so cool. I love that. That little front scoop thing with the horn. That's great. I like that a lot, actually.
Basically looks like a futuristic train with tank treads to me. For some reason,
yeah,
it makes me think of
does.
makes me think of the film version of Snowpiercer, but I don't really know why.
Yeah. I only saw one episode of Snowpiercer, but I got you. Also, the second one is like the more advanced version with all the rockets and the little.
So
arm
the
lasers?
first one is like a transport. So it's just a transport version, which again, it's not just got a bunch of heavy armor, but multiple wardings and energy shields, and it has weapon servitors that are wired into it, equipped with like Volkite and bolt cannons. If it somehow gets, I don't know, dumped into space, or ends up on a world with no air, the whole storage bay can just be sealed so that nothing can get in or out. So it can survive in pretty much any environment at all. And it's also built specifically so that if you need to service like some automatons and stuff in the bay of this transport, it's kitted out for that.
That's good. Hey, it sounds like a convenient vehicle.
It's great because it can also ram things. So
Oh,
all of
hell
that
yeah,
weird
this thing
stuff
looks
on
like
the
Well,
it-
front,
naturally.
Yeah.
all of the weird stuff, it's a shock ram. So it gets charged up with energy and then they drive it into stuff and it blows it up. Because
hell yeah. Like,
yeah.
Look at it. If you didn't use this thing as just a big battering ram, I mean...
Oh yeah, like what?
Huge missed opportunity.
It's great. It's such a cool design. And the assault tank, the Karaknos, is basically the Triaris again, but instead of having all of that as kind of like storage bay section and the service area and being able to seal it off, instead It's just got a massive mortar battery that fires radioactive warheads.
Of course it does. Shy wants to know how this thing doesn't shoot itself with those rockets. Shy, that's like 90% of Warhammer guns.
Don't
on
ask,
vehicles.
Don't ask that question.
You
don't
they're
know.
lined up in
the
such a
answer
way
to
that it looks like they would just blow themselves to smithereens. Or they'd blow out their front tires or something.
I'm choosing to
normal.
believe that model is posed like mid-deployment. That they actually like face all the way up or something. I'm choosing to believe that because otherwise it makes it significantly less cool. Because it would just blow itself up.
Maybe the Messiah protects, man, you know?
Maybe it's just they have a lot of propulsion out of those rockets, you know, and they just...
Well, they're mortars, so they're not even fully propelled rockets. They're just mortars. So they're just shells that just get launched out. So...
again, maybe they get launched at just Mach speed, you know, so there's no chance. I don't know.
Yeah, it just really chucks them out.
It just really flings them. It just yeets them, you know?
I do love the fact... There you go. There, see? It's
That's
mid-deployment.
a little better.
Yeah, it's fine.
It still looks a little dangerous, but better. Yeah, certainly better. Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that all of those mortars are radioactive as well. It's not just a massive like mobile artillery platform. It's designed to just irradiate everything.
Well,
heretics cannot come back
living.
for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
They do look like cartoon fireworks. Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing moving on from that is the Macro Carried Explorator, which also has, I think, the honor of being one of the shortest lived Forge World models ever. This was on sale for not very long. I don't think it was even a full year, if I remember correctly. Which is a shame because it's a cool model. So it's effectively a like Land Raider equivalent. And one of the big things for them was that they are like multiple, like there's no two that are the same. They're very heavily customized as they are like fully sealed vehicles for like command and exploration and combat. All of that done by like different tech mages and tech priests and stuff. And it just disappeared. It just vanished. For some reason, it was on sale for a while. I don't know whether they're having a problem with the molds or whether something broke, but it was a very short-lived model. You could not get it for very long.
Oh, man, that looks sick. That's a big, chunky boy, but it's got a really cool look to it.
I actually think it's really nice, honestly. I like it a lot. I really do enjoy it.
Was that a really big mini, I assume? Because this thing looks chunky. This looks hefty.
I believe it's like, if I remember right, it's about sort of, I think between Land Raider and like Spartan sized. Something around there.
Oof.
Yeah, so pretty wide. Not tall, but pretty wide. And the thing that I like about this, though, is that like the fact that the hull is like kind of modular and stuff. So like, it looks like they've taken a specifically built center section and then just put two tracks on the side. It makes it look like you could have any number of different varieties of this thing.
Oh yeah.
It's just a really, really cool vehicle, and it just vanished.
You know what's the most surprising thing is, like, for such a big, beefy thing by Warhammer standards, doesn't have that many like guns on it. It doesn't have that much weaponry on it. Like, it's got the thing on top. It's got like those little cannons on the front, and that's kind of it. Like, for Warhammer, that's a lot of restraint. That's not a ton of artillery.
It kind of makes it feel more like a kind of command vehicle than anything else.
Yeah, like a command center type deal.
That's cool.
I love that.
Really like that. Yeah, it's awesome.
And of course, the one we all unanimously agree is really cool. It's like, yeah, you can't get this anymore. We don't make this shit.
Yeah, that's
in typical
that's how that
fashion.
usually works. No nice things for you. Okay, we're gonna scale up a little bit here. We're gonna scale up somewhat and get into the Ordinatus series of vehicles. 3 specifically, we're going to take a look at.
Okay.
Ordinatus Ulator, that's probably how you pronounce that, Sagittar, and Actius. So, the Ulator is basically 4 tracks with a gigantic cannon on top of it. A massive sonic cannon. It is absurd.
That
It's like the AdMech version of a Death Strike missile, except it doesn't fire the missile. It's just a giant cannon. Oh my god.
I was gonna say that first picture, I couldn't really tell what it was. That second one is just like, wow, that's
it's like an evil villain's like, this is my death ray. It's going to destroy the world.
It really
Where's
is.
the kaboom?
It's almost like cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's just 2 sets of big tracks with a gigantic gun on top of it.
How does anybody take that thing seriously?
I mean, I think you mostly take it seriously because of the gun it's carrying.
It looks so dumb. I'm sorry. That's one of the dumbest things we've seen today. I hate it.
Really? Oh,
I really do.
I think it's silly, but in a good way.
I think it's just too. It's too over the top for me. It just looks too silly. I don't know.
Too bare bones in a way. It's just like they've gone. Well, we've got some tracks. Just let's weld a couple of girders, stick a gun on it. Let's go.
It almost looks like it
fine.
doesn't need that first pair of tracks.
I have to admit, I wonder whether it would be. I don't know.
It'd be so top heavy.
If the gun was bigger. Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the German train guns. Classic.
Oh wow.
I love that.
That looks really stupid too.
Oh yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure those turned out to be an absolute disaster and were not remotely worth the effort.
Looking at the picture, gee whiz, what could have possibly gone wrong?
Yeah.
Besides, everything.
Yeah.
No, AdMech, you didn't need to learn from the Germans, not copy them. They lost both the wars.
Oh no! Oh god! Yeah, I don't like
dumb picture. So the one that is above the comedy Nazi gun there is that's the Sagittar version, which has a volcano cannon that you would normally get on a Warlord Titan. So they just took a Warlord volcano cannon and strapped it to the tracks. Which I suppose if you've got a spare one lying around and no Warlord to put it on, might as well not waste it. Although you could stick it on a Baneblade chassis because that's also a thing that exists. But my favourite one out of all of these, and this is only because, okay, this might, I don't know whether this is going to be a niche reference or not. Did you have Thunderbirds growing up? Was that a thing that you had?
Wait.
So in America, for us, Thunderbirds, as far as I know anyway, or just the Thunderbird jets that just did lots of fancy tricks. You go to like an Air Force base and you.
Wait. Wasn't there like a TV show? Weren't there like Power Ranger kind of knockoffs?
Okay, this is gonna be a thing to explain. So Thunderbirds, when if you're of a certain age, unfortunately, was a show which was like puppets, but they were like, it was like this group of people who had rockets and underwater vehicles and special cars and a space station, and they were part of an organization called International Rescue, and they went around saving people. And I'm 99% sure that for one of the episodes they had some sort of drill, and I can't look at the Ordinatus Actius without thinking of that show because, well, it's literally just a giant drill on tracks. That is entirely what it is.
Yep, it sure is. That is just a drill on tracks. I mean, it honestly, it
hey babe, it's about this big.
I was waiting for someone to. I didn't want to be the first one. Joke. I didn't want to be the first one to make that. But no, it legit looks like they took this like drill torpedo and you can see it's literally like, it looks like it's just roped on. Like underneath the thing, it looks like it's just got a couple of little like things that hooks it up and that's it. It's not even part of the tracks. It's not attached.
It's a giant metal on wheels, on tracks.
Yes, we heard you the first
really
time.
Phallic.
It is really phallic. You're right. It is very true. That's like the thing they use in the. Have y'all ever seen the movie The Core? It's a terrible movie. It's hilarious though. It's the thing they use to drill to the center of the earth.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's Virgil.
Oh, here we go. This is
I made Shy watch it on one stream or something. It was whatever, but it's so bad it's good.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's not that it's a terrible film and it's not enjoyable. It's that it's bad, but it is good because of how bad it is.
Yes, it's one of those campy movies that's so absolutely trash that it just flips the spectrum because of how bad it is, and it's actually kind of enjoyable.
That's fair. I can give you that because I vaguely remember watching The Core and didn't come away from it thinking that was a great film. So for a minute there, I was confused as to what the context was of it being. Okay, yeah, no, that makes more sense to me. So yeah, I mean, this is exactly what it looks like. I just love the fact that it's not just that this is a thing. There's loads of different versions of these. There's a ton of like underground, tunneling things. How long is... Okay, I don't want to say what I'm going to say in case it spoils anything. Have you read Saturnine yet?
No.
Okay.
But I know how goofy the Saturnine thing looks.
I think I know what this is.
Oh no, not again.
Well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, you'll know. I'll just leave it there. You'll know. It's fine. But yeah, there's an absolute ton of different like drill variants. Admittedly, the Actius is the only one that's like I think specifically ad mech, but there's also the termite, the mole, the hellbore, the mantolith, the plutona, and the Hades breaching drill. So there's a lot of that stuff going around. It's just that, of course, AdMech have got access to the biggest and silliest one, because of course they do.
Of course.
And pretty much, when it comes to things that we can at least take a proper look at, that's kind of where we are. There are a few things that sort of fall under their kind of under their list, so to speak, because they have used and maintained things like Bane blades. There's also kind of little known tanks that they have access to, or vehicles they have access to that we don't have a huge amount of like information on. Things like the Black Widow being a little like scout tank, but there's no full kind of there's no like release of it. It's within Gods of Mars, if I remember correctly, which is like an armored reconnaissance walker. There's lots of little things that they kind of have. There are also, to be fair, a ton of those Ordinatus ones. There's absolutely loads of them. Loads and loads. And a lot of them don't have any real sort of info. Quite a few are from things like from Epic. So things like the Ordinatus Armageddon, which, I mean, you can see where the newer ones have come from, but the newer ones definitely have been executed slightly better, I think it's fair to say, because the Ordinatus Armageddon is...
Oh,
my
lord. Oh, no. Those old ones are just... They're rough. GW has come a long way. That one is...
That reminds me of the...
just a Nova cannon on tracks. That's the whole thing.
Oh, my God.
That's all it does.
Remind me of the Capital Imperialis, the enormous guard vehicle.
Yep. They do have something called the Land Leviathan, which is kind of basically that, just a giganto like land fortress, which I think okay, so that was it. There we go. So 300 meters long, but that's just the feet. That's just the feet of it. It's like 50 meters tall. The Land Leviathan. It's just a vast walking fortress, or rolling fortress, or tracked fortress, because it depends entirely on what the Majos making it wants to do with it.
Can you put that in freedom units?
Oh god,
50 meters tall. What's that in Merca?
Oh no, hang on, I'll find out.
Because I'm dumb.
Am I doing feet?
Do feet.
Okay. 164.
That's pretty tall.
Pretty tall.
That's
for a minute, I nearly just Googled what's 50 meters in American, and then I was like, "That's not going to help, is it?"
It might have. It might
done.
have still gotten it, actually.
Oh, and there's also the Ordinatus Golgotha, which is hilarious.
It's just a missile bay. It's just a giant
God.
missile bay on tracks. Yeah.
I'm assuming each of those are basically a Death Strike size.
Pretty
Probably,
much.
yeah.
Pretty much.
It looks like
just
candy
odd.
corn.
They do look like candy corn.
They got candy corn warhead.
Wait, what is
my
this, Shy?
I forgot. I can't believe I forgot it. I can't believe I forgot that.
Oh,
what is it?
it's just a forklift.
They should have some AdMech name like the Cruncher of Death or something. That's more of a guard name.
I'm trying to find the galvanic there we go, galvanic servo hauler.
Made by Ark and Servo.
Yeah. Made by Sir Galvanic, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
There are galvanic weapons though. Like the galvanic rifle is a weapon that Skitarii tend to run around with. So
Yeah, and they were all made by
it's
Sir
like-
Galvanic.
they were Lord Galvanic.
Lord Galvanic.
That's Lord Galvanic.
Mr.
Lord
Hauler.
Galvanic, yeah. Mr. Hauler. Send him to the anyway.
Oh, there is
Send him to the
one
principal's
other, though.
office and have him expelled.
Oh man.
A grot tank out of that is a great idea. There is also an honourable mention that this. I don't believe that this is like official, but someone, a lad called Eric Gustafsson, made something for White Dwarf, which was called the Atrax Siege Walker. I don't know if this has been put into the canon or not.
Whoa!
But
What
it's
is that?
Okay.
insane kit bash.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually kind of wish the big gun was like a little smaller, because if it was, that would actually be a genuinely like I could see that actually happening in GW world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
that's
is that thing on
incredible.
its back? What is that gun? Like that looks like a literal like real life rifle sized cannon on that mini's back.
I think it's a Titan weapon.
I think, you know what, I'm looking at it. I think it might be just multiple pieces of, I say just, it's not just, but I think it might be multiple pieces of terrain and other models. I think the main body of that gun is made up of like those plasma reactors that you could get out of one of the like Forge World City Fight sets. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm 99% sure that you've got like a big chunk of terrain to make up the gun with other bits of terrain on either side. And the front of that, isn't that the Goliath from the... Is it the Goliath from the Gene Stealer Cults? They're like their big truck that they have.
I was gonna say, knowing AdMech, it looks like if you were in like, because is that a little guy next to the thing that like
there's
the
a little servitor that looks like it's wired into it.
I got to imagine one fire of that thing and that poor guy just gets blown to smithereens. Like
It's so good.
because it's an AdMech thing, so as soon as it fires, it probably exhausts like so much radiation that it probably just melts whoever's sitting there.
It's an awesome, like it's such an awesome kit bash. Like it's so good, so
crazy.
good.
I do love that. That is amazing. That's great.
I actually really do like it too. It's silly enough, but pretty great.
I think Briggy's right though. If that gun
together.
on the back was just a little smaller, like you could actually see GW making something like that.
Yeah. I wanted to throw that in there because as I was going through, I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell is that?" Oh, wait, someone just made that. That's quality. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Awesome. That's it. That is the last one.
That's
Imagine if it
it.
rolls a 1.
Yeah, it just
Bad
blows
times for everyone, not just the guy sitting next to it. All the people in like a 2-mile radius
up. And the
also
land
go
for the
away.
next 1,000 years.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about the planet being irradiated if it's just been exploded. That's fine. You know,
I mean, the planet's probably already been irradiated. It's 40K. Every planet has Earth-shattering radiation on it, right? That's fine.
Yeah, but the AdMech take it personally.
Oh my god. Now I want to have one of those. A terrible
Bricky,
idea.
Hell-
take us home, Bricky.
I'd take
Bricky, take us home, Bricky.
I'd take you home.
I am home.
Are you lost?
I'm lost and afraid.
Well, that's fine because the AdMech will certainly get rid of that feeling for you. So you won't have a whole lot of any feelings if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but I'll live for a really long time.
No, you won't.
Not if you put in a Dune crawler.
Not if you put in the remember the rules when it comes to AdMech. You don't know what's under the robes. So you can either have a brutal cunning AdMech where they unleash their the 5,000 weapons from hell beneath their robes, or they're like little wee scientist man, run away. All right, suck this, OSHA.
Absurd.